Welcome to Shambhavi Spectrum. Today, my special, lovely, the heartwarming guest is Aisha Khan. She's the founder of Food ATM. And yes, the name indicates what her work is all about. This is the Marketing Magic Industry Insight series. And food, Ramadan, these are the things we are going to talk about it for the next few minutes. Welcome, Aisha. Thank you for finding the time to be here.
Thank you, dear Simbhavi. It's an honor for me. I'm really, really happy to be with you today.
Thank you so much. I am the one who's honored. Let us start the conversation with a little bit about the Guinness record that you created. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, to reach there, we have got to hear a little bit of history. When the objective of the entire project is about feeding the lower income communities and workers. So that is where we started off. Now, when you start off a project, generally nobody aims that they would reach a Guinness World Record or become part of a UN mentorship or a UN program like Environment Program or the Global Compact. So all these things was uh, honestly not even in the roadmap or even in imaginations, because the agenda was very difficult here. The agenda of feeding and so that they can have healthy meals, as well as send some money home from their small salaries. I used to receive responses at least 90-95%. Okay, Aisha, let's meet in Ramadan. And then there came a point where I started getting confused myself. Is this a Ramadan project I started somewhere in mid of the year before Ramadan? And that is how it.
So
So
let
yes,
us,
we had Nefsi with
yeah.
me. Yeah,
So
so I
let
was
me
always.
ask you, when did Food ATM start and why the name Food ATM? Tell me that. Though it's a little obvious, I would like to know your reasons for that.
Well, we started the trade license I got in 2019, and on a personal note or a personal initiative, I was already doing this since 2006. Yes, since 2006, I was already doing it while I was working in the government sector in Dubai, and I used to have all the surplus food, which was my experimental food. To be very honest, I used to love cooking, and I didn't know how to cook. So, internet was my best bet, where I used to go and learn new recipes just as a stress buster for no other reason. And then the fridge used to be all stacked up that I needed to, I couldn't just throw it off. That is not what we've been taught since childhood. So yes, I had to find an audience who would have it without, without being negative about it. So there are very good people in my office, my cleaners, the drivers, the gardeners. I used to give the food to them. They were so nice to me that they used to appreciate every single recipe of mine. And I myself used to get surprised. And sometimes at some point of time, I started thinking, maybe I'm a very good cook. But the fact is, they were being very nice to me. And then after a few months, some of the cleaners, one person came to me. He showed me the pictures of his two young children. They were dressed in school uniform. So I understood that he wants to say thanks to me, but he didn't know how to open up a conversation. And that's exactly how he started talking. So I did my part. I also asked him, yeah, your children are going to school, are they studying well? So he said that they're going to school because of you. And that was something I couldn't relate to. So I asked him, how, brother, how is that? Because I knew I was not giving them any money. So he said, sister, you bring so much of food that we eat half for lunch and half for dinner, and that's how you've been funding 60 meals of ours for every month. And
Wow.
I did not realize that I was feeding around 12 to 15 people every day, just because I was not from the food industry, as I am an IT engineer. So I didn't know that, the formalities of food industry, how much should be cooked and all. So I used to cook large quantities without the knowledge of exactly what I'm doing. But since I had started making a difference in people's lives, that too without intending to do it for them, I felt very bad. I felt very guilty that I wasn't doing anything for them. In fact, I was doing it as stress buster for myself. And just because I'm taught not to throw food, I was giving up all the food that I made yesterday evening. I'm disposing it off today morning. I felt really bad, and that's when I started hitting the internet now to learn what is a meal. What could be a meal? I was making parathas some days juices, and some days salads, and I used to just bombard them with all what I knew or what I used to cook. But then I realized that they need to have a balanced meal. It could be as simple as a roti sabji or dal chawal and some fish fry or chicken fry, something like that. So I started learning that. And when I had to cook a balanced meal, I had to shop for them. In the weekends, I started shopping for them. Because I was also running short of time, I had a career at hand. I started making a menu that okay, Mondays I'll take this, Tuesdays I'll take this, likewise. So I made a menu and I continued doing this for 12 years. After 12 years, I was confident enough to walk up to the Ministry of Economic Development and I told them that let's make a food center where many Aishas can come and keep food and let anybody come and take it. It's fine because we have our own careers. So let people get benefited. They loved my idea. They said it's very good and we appreciate your intention, but we can't let you do that. If you have to do anything like that, you have to have a trade license of your own. You have to have a brand of your own. That is when I went with a lot of enthusiasm to them. I came back with a long list of things which I had to fund myself. And yes, like a typical Indian, we all go and make, in India, we go and make a very big house. We buy a lot of land and all that with Dubai money. That's what I had done. So I went and sold off all that, brought the money here, and made Food 18. Yes, about the name. When I had to give a name to the venture, it reminded me of my cleaners who used to come. Then slowly we had become friends, and it was a small forum of my own people where they used to come and show me, Sister, see, they should show their bank debit card in their pockets. They used to show and they used to tell me that, Sister, we have a debit card and the salaries are so small. It was, those days the salaries were very small. So they used to tell me that
Sorry, you're frozen. Yeah, you're frozen.
break. Yeah. So they said that they used to show me the card and tell me that at the beginning of the month itself, we have to send a meaty part of the salary home. And after that, the card doesn't have anything. So they should take the card and show it to me, Sister. See, we have a card, but card mein kuch nahi hai. There's nothing in the card. And they used to laugh at their own pain. So when I wanted to form a company, I decided to make smart cards, which are the meals accounts loaded cards. And I had to give a name to the company, so I gave a name Food ATM. So whether your pocket has money or not, it has food. That's food.
Well, wonderful, wonderful, Aisha. I can't appreciate and definitely such a great thing that you're doing for, and you became a social entrepreneur. Really
Yeah.
amazing, really
Yeah.
amazing. And people talk, but you've done it. You've walked the talk. So the food ATM, I love the concept of it and the way you describe it. It just fits exactly what your work is all about. I can't even call it business. I mean, I think that would be a little, kind of unfair. So tell me, this means you give them cards which have ATM
So
cards, which
yeah.
have
So let me
food
tell you.
credit. Tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more
So
about
when
how the process works.
Yeah. So when we had formed the concept of food ATM, or I should say the ATM cards, it was very clear that I would go for the corporate orders where we connect to various corporate organizations, and in the corporate organizations there is generally a large volume of workers, I should say labor intensive organizations, where it becomes very difficult for the HR or the admin to monitor the number of meals that have been delivered per day. One of our customers, for example, is 4,000 workers. Now, how can an HR keep asking each person or each camp bosses, like, okay, did your guys get breakfast today? Did your guys get lunch? Did you get dinner? It's very difficult. So, we have an online application which shows exactly how many meals are delivered on that day. So all the organizations who associate with us for an annual contract of 3 meals a day, we give them these smart cards, which are photo IDs, and which has a meal counts with it. We give it for free. The application is also free, and because we are food industry, we cannot sell IT products, so this is given for free. But for individuals, or I should say the people who do not have annual contracts with us, somebody have 3 months, some have 6 months, we can't afford to give them cards and we can't afford to give them applications. So for them, they just pay it on monthly basis. They are walk-ins. So we Food ATM as a business is B2B and B2C. So all those who have annual contracts, we give them the cards. Each time the meals are delivered at the doorstep, the cards have QR codes. The cards are scanned and the count falls by one. So the beginning of the month, there are 30 breakfast, 30 lunch, and 30 dinner. As the month proceeds, towards the end of the month, it becomes zero because every day the count is reduced by one. And the month end, again, before the first of the month, the counts are loaded once again. So that's the concept.
So it did help that you were an IT, you had an IT background. It
Yes, yes.
helped.
That was why I was so confident. I went to the ministry and I said, okay, let me make a food center. I assumed it's an IT project, so they said fine. There is a component which is IT, but people are not going to eat your cards. They're going to eat food, and you're going to borrow food from someone to feed them. That's put me in a thought, and I said no. They said fine, then make a brand of your own.
So where does the food get cooked, and how do you take care of all those, the
We
actual
started.
front end?
Yeah, so I have got so many friends who say that cooking for four people at home is such a tension. There are 10 things to be added, and every day something messes up. How do you manage? So yes, they are all right. Every day something goes wrong. We have to have the show keep we have to keep on going along with the show and the flow. The first facility that we started off, it had a capacity of 6,000 meals per day. Now we have shifted to a larger facility, which is now warehouses. It is 50,000 meals a day. That's our current capacity. And with every meal, we are giving water also. So as you understand, when there's a larger number of meals to be made, there is a lot of administration that needs to be done, and a lot of forethinking or a pre-planning that needs to be done. So we have the menus which are in place. All the shoppings and the purchasings have to be done in bulk. All the products are purchased in tons now. Water bottles are in millions, and that is how we run the show. Because once we are into the operational week, we cannot get out of stock. So these are the panic states at time, but we have to be very cautious. And I also have to have the whip in my hand. I'm the only lady, so yes, I have to be a little strict there.
What kind of support do you get from other corporates, not just the ones who you're supplying to? What kind of support do you get from them? Do you
Yes,
get any?
I was just telling you about the project being selected by the Global Compact, United Nations Global Compact and UN Environment Program. The reason is we have brought in a synergy of many organizations. Saying that somebody is selling a meal, a complete meal for 3 dirham for more than 3 years now, it sounds very nice and glossy, but it could not have happened without the support of corporate organizations. I'll also share with you a little video where you can see how we translate the near expiry food products into meals. So generally there are near expiry food products which go for landfills. I always tell people, why fill lands when we have tummies to fill? So all that products are diverted towards food ATM, whether it is spices, salt, sugar, food grains, every single thing, the meats, the vegetables, all that's the near expiry products are channelized towards food ATM by many organizations who work with us now. I'll also share the video of that, and
I'll
we are
I'll
able to.
I'll definitely put a link and everything, whatever your organization. I'll be putting a link in the description, Aisha. And thank you for that. Tell me a little bit more about what kind of support do you get from your family and friends?
Let me begin with the truth, because that's the best place to start.
Always.
Always. As I told you, when I used to go to organizations, they were not able to understand me. What is she talking about? About feeding people is going to be a cost and all. So the same thing when I decided to quit my career, which was a high-paying Dubai career, and then get into social entrepreneurship. So it was not either accepted or understood by the family. Were very traditional. Very the typical Indian families. They would all have a very pre-planned and a very well-planned lifestyle, and investments made, and everything's all planned. We also plan our children's careers. Yeah, 90% are doctors and engineers, and bacha what 10% would be would be something new, experimental. So we are parents like that. We are a society like that. So, and I don't blame anybody. It's generations we are like that. So when I decided to take a plunge, it wasn't really welcome, and they didn't understand what I'm trying to do. So they were all shocked, and I did it. And the first full year, 2019, I had a series of losses and failures. So losses for sure, because I wasn't able to sell the food. I had priced the food not at 3 dirham. Initially, it was at 10 dirham because I was living in the greens and a very different lifestyle. So for me to think about a very inexpensive meal, I thought 10 dirham is inexpensive, yes. But for the labors, even that was more.
That is.
It took me time to understand. So I went through losses, I went through failures. and not a single organization understanding. So that 1 year was terribly bad, 2019. And then come 2020, things started changing with pandemic in and organizations having a lack of business. They found me to be the best option to hold on to their manpower or their labor force. So they what they did exactly was they provided labor camps to their laborers or the workforce, and from me they started supplying meals. That's how, in a combination, they held their manpower in the country till things were stabilized. So I started getting business, and food ATM started growing. That's when family started understanding that maybe she had some sensible approach. So that's the truth. Now,
Right.
yes, now, yes, every all of them are my free, unpaid employees. They're all participating
Including driving you right now.
right
So-
now.
okay, so for the corporate, you deliver it to their doorstep at the labor camp. If an individual wanted to pick up, where would they be able to find you?
We have a location in Ajman, which is Aljar. We are exactly behind the Ajman Central Jail. We have two warehouses, and that is where people queue up and they come and grab the meals. Beyond that, we have supplies happening locally in Ajman, Sajja, Sharjah, border areas of Dubai, and inshallah in Ramadan, all through the month, we'll be present in Medina Mall food court. That's the approvals we have as of now, where people can come and buy hundreds and thousands of iftar to go and distribute to whomever they like. These are the current scenarios. God willing, we'll be present in more locations.
I would also definitely hope that this message today reaches more people and we are able to do more on this. And so that brings me to the question, since you're in the series of Marketing Magic Industry Insights, tell me something. As a social entrepreneur, we've just looked at how many losses and more losses is what we've had. So, how do you manage to get the word out, tell people what you're doing? What are the channels that you use
I'll
apart
come.
from your
I'll come
interviews,
to
which
your
I have seen, apart from that?
first, I'll come to your first question. Guinness World Record. We were associated with Rotary Club, always Rotary Club of Dubai, several Rotary clubs in Dubai, and Nefsi, the founder himself. So we were all associated for a very long time. So whenever it came to lower income communities and workers, all the celebrations, they always used to consider food ATM only. So from the inception, I was always with them. And when they went in for the global events like having a Guinness World Record event organized, I was a default choice. So it was not that I had planned. I was always there with them for the lower income communities meals. And this particular Guinness World Record was in last year Ramadan, where it was about providing meals to more than 50,000 workers in less than 8 hours. So that is where I was already there. So now, after we achieved the Guinness World Record, and I remember a few days later, we had a kind of sort of a get together where all of us who were part of this event met. And the organizer of this particular event made a very humorous statement. He said, I'm really surprised without spending a single dirham. How does the world know this girl and the project? So everybody was sent out into a roaring laughter that the truth is that I don't have a budget for marketing. And I want all the women out there to listen to this carefully, because it can be when you set out for a new business, especially women, they always think that how much more can I market or spend on the marketing that I can get the business on track. So I want to tell all you beautiful women there, all the aspiring entrepreneurs, maybe some of you even social entrepreneurs, that please do not get hesitant when you don't have a marketing budget. In my case, I had actually sold my house and got a facility up with a part of the investment into the facility and part of it in my hand for running the operations. Being a food industry, I was completely ignorant, and I was learning the trade by the day. So all the visas, all the health industry standards we had to maintain, the levels of examinations even my uneducated boys had to take, the vaccinations and the certifications in the health industry, everything was a cost. And then after all that, running the show with the raw materials and at a small cost just to help the lower income people, I did not have a marketing budget. Nothing. Nothing at all. So what could I do? My best bet was, yes, reaching out to individual organizations one at a time. I used to put a charter. I used to go and meet people and talk. Then I started participating in events like the GITEX, where GITEX, they have the future stars where new startups can participate. And that is exactly where I got a lot of attention. I reached the finalist there. Yeah, I didn't win, but I got the best social impact pitch and everything. So I started participating in forums wherever there was more of crowding. I used to reach there. LinkedIn and Instagram are my only marketing weapons, I should say, equipments where you can see us, you can see Food ATM. Otherwise, we have nothing spent on marketing at all. Not even, I don't think even more, yes, flyers, yes, but we don't put out any hoardings or anything, nothing. But because I have started participating in so many forums, going and meeting people, when you have when you are full of ambition to prove your point and objectives, I think certain things like being limited by budget should not hinder the marketing aspects, because you have to get your point out there. You have to have people hear you and understand you. You have to find a way out. And there are so many free resources available. Use them. Go there.
When you have the intent, the impact will be created, and as we can see that along with your Guinness book, along with the United Nations SDGs, zero hunger, which you're looking at, and the fact that you're making your presence felt everywhere, you're going to be inspiring a lot of women and men and everybody who's going to hear this. And thank you for finding the time to do this, Aisha. Tell me something, who is your role model?
uh, every person, every good human being where I go and meet. Even today, for example, I was telling you, I was at a social responsibility specialist forum in the Ajman Chamber of Commerce. So, where I found like minded people, they were not in my line of work, but they also had a very conscious social responsibility being done through their organization. So, each of them, when I meet a good human being doing good deeds, I love to become like them. I feel if there's anything I can live up to their standards and become a little better human being every day, that is how I am. So every time I find a good human being, I just get attracted. I want to talk to them. I want to become like them and find out if I have a gap. I try to patch it up.
So when you're not running between meetings and not traveling in the car, do you pursue any hobbies which don't contain cooking in them?
Yes. I used to love gardening a lot. And in my previous facility, I had a garden. We have, if you go to the LinkedIn, you will see that for the Environment Day and all that, we have actually shown Food Atia. It was a small piece of desert, and we changed it into a huge garden and all that because in the labor area, there was no place where these laborers could take a selfie. So I planted all colors of flowers and put some swings and benches and all that they could all come and take selfie and send home to their relatives that see I'm in such a beautiful place. So yes, I love gardening. That's what I do.
So wonderful. And before we say bye today, because it's a quick talk that we've had, we'll come back again. And definitely, I will ask you more questions of this. Is there any message that you want to send out to anybody who's
Yeah,
hearing this? Budding
I
entrepreneurs, students, or social entrepreneurs? Is there any message from your side, Aisha?
yes, dear. I have two messages, very very clear. That when we all have meals, we can give meals. It's very very simple. So when we talk about the global aspects of zero hunger or end hunger, so it's very simple. It begins with us. Every time we have a meal, we can think that okay, today I had three meals. Let me give one meal to someone. Could be anything, and it could be anyone near you. We all can do that. So that way, yes, we all should contribute a bit every day. And for the women there, I really want to tell all the women that now that I am in, I should say, I'm in several forums where I happen to meet several industrialists and several international dignitaries. I have felt the need of more women being out there. I really want more women to come out as entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs. We women have a habit, we always prioritize others. We will prioritize our families, our children, even our neighbors, and in the workplace, somebody else. Okay, let me help them. And somewhere we have a burning ambition in our heart that would always take a back seat. So I'm requesting all the women, beyond your job, beyond your careers, beyond your roles as mothers, wives, daughters, sisters, there might be something that you want to do which can add value to this world, maybe to the environment, maybe to the society, humanity, animals. Come out, bring that out and do it. Be a little selfish, please. Be a little selfish. Let that, that very burning thought in you or that dream in you come out. Give it a chance. So please prioritize your dreams.
Thank you so much, Aisha, for that wonderful message. I wish Food ATM, you and everybody who's associated with you, all the very best for the Ramadan and for the whole year round. Thank you and bye
Thank
for
you
now.
so much.
We'll
Lovely
meet
to meet
again. We'll
you.
talk again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you, dear. Bye bye.